Okay. As the 1 year anniversary of the Holman Pascal Uvalde approaches, there has now been a rise in school threats. Every day you turn on the news. You turn on the news or you Google school threats, which I always do when I do shows like this, and it comes up. Marquette High School dismisses early Friday due to another social media threat. Jewish day schools in Pennsylvania, Texas evacuated over bomb threats. And even just yesterday, even just in Warren County, a teen will be charged after threats made against the high school in Warren County. This person was a juvenile. And Texas schools received more than 67,000 threat reports last year. This happened in Arlington, Texas. I mean, this map would show us each school. So if we zoomed in, to the Corpus Christi Independent School District, there has been over 14,000 threats who have been reported. Intimate threats reported to law enforcement, 51. Flower Bluff, 31 threats reported. Zero threats reported. I mean, here in Flower Bluff, there's been 31 threats that have been reported, but they didn't redact it. So, what's going to happen now? Take a look.
Yeah, that's right. Good morning, Keenan and Alicia. Really disturbing situations happening across several districts. And here outside Ferndale High School and Middle School, they were closed on Monday, and then a second threat prompted a closure on Tuesday. Again, classes set to resume here today. But yesterday, in the span of just one day, threats led to closures or lockdowns at several schools, including Taylor, South Lyon East, South Lake High School in St. Clair Shores, and Novi Meadows.
The hardest part is being concerned about your kid's safety. That's the hardest part.
Parents in the Ferndale School District facing what no parent wants to, a call or email that there's been a threat at their child's school. It's been an all too common scenario this week in Metro Detroit. Police and districts responding to several threats. In at least one case, a teen suspect locked up in a juvenile facility as a result.
We are reviewing more on a weekly basis, so those students are walking away with criminal convictions, so it is no joke.
And in Taylor, police say a straight-A student was behind a threat on social media. Detectives traced the Instagram post to the 14-year-old's home, and he was taken to juvenile court. They say he'd never had any previous disciplinary issues and admitted to posting the threatening message as a prank. These recent threats aren't just alarming parents.
We need our children to be safe in order for them to learn.
They're worrying prosecutors. In Macomb County, Prosecutor Peter Lucido sent out this letter reminding students of the harsh penalties that can come with these threats, including 20 years if convicted on a threat of terrorism. Lucido also said parents could be on the hook for paying for county and local government resources. All of this is happening as we, in less than 2 weeks, approach the 1 year anniversary of that deadly mass shooting at a school in Oxford. A somber reminder that violence in schools, even threats of violence, are really no laughing matter. An important reminder this morning for parents and students watching. And of course, students, it's always encouraged to call 855-OK to say if you hear or say something concerning law enforcement districts. They want to hear from you. You can report anything concerning anonymously via that phone number. Reporting live this morning in Ferndale, again, class is set to resume here today. I'm Jen Shantz for 7 Action News.
Yeah, these threats are not a joke. They really traumatize people, and it's certainly not surprising that prosecutors are trying to crack down on it. Thank you very much, Jen.
Agree. These threats are not a joke. Every time I do stories about threats, no one gets the damn message. I mean, look back at this map. In the FBISD threats reported 31. And the biggest one ever, CCISD. Over 14,000 threats have been reported. Enemy threats reported by law enforcement, 51. Ingleside, data reach 0. 13 threats in Gregory, Portland. Aransas Pass, 14. Aransas County. Refugio. We go down to Brooks County, Jim Hogg County, Benavides, San Diego School District. We don't know. Alice Independent School District, 44 threats reported. In Ricardo, 14 threats reported. That's probably basically the same, almost the same. Robstown has 67 threats reported. Total Spinway, 5 threats reported. It's like you may find ways to get your school closed, but let me tell you something. Every time you make a threat, you're closing down the school and you're keeping our kids out of education. The key here is I want to get the kids in school. I want to go to school. That was the whole key here. I want to go to school. I want my kids to learn. I want my kids to succeed. I want them to get their diplomas so that they can go on and move on and get a job. The whole purpose of this show is to get you back on track in education. And just 7 hours ago, McCarty High School evacuators closed early 2 days in a row to threats. 2 days in a row. Now, things have got to be done. Things have got to be done around here. All right. Plane crashes. You knew how to survive them. I showed you a Dateline story on my GMB channel. I'll give you my retrospective on that when we return. Stay with us. This week on the broadcast, we're looking back at the Dateline stories I showed you on this broadcast from this season. Now, last season on the GMB YouTube channel, I showed one of my VHS tapes to you guys on how to survive a plane crash. I got this from eBay for a very good price. And this had some really good tips on it. So, how to make sure you gotta get out these seconds here. I mean, the slide thing was good. The slide was good. The how to use the slide, how to do this, how to do that. You could really know how to survive these plane crashes if you know how to do it the right way. My perspective on this: if anyone wants to survive, all you have to do is just follow the simple rules and follow the flight attendants. And for children, I'm glad they're having extra seats because of what's going on. So, yeah, that's my perspective. And I'm really glad that it's being put in place. And future references, if I do find any more Dateline VHSs, or because I found some on eBay for some very good prices, like this story. Like this story, for example. This story here, I talked about oh wait, not this one. It was like this one, for example. This one was all about someone who was taking on the mob and who went undercover. So I may show you this one probably today or sometime on Saturday. But if I do ever find these, I could probably purchase one of them. I could. Like I said, I got these on eBay. I could really get these for a good price. Like, like that mob story. Even these moment of decision stories and these survivor stories. But there is one that I saw. I saw this many times. I'm not even going to show it to you because it is very graphic in detail. It's a story about this young girl named Pat who has multiple personality disorder. Inspired by an old television movie called Silver. And she had so many personalities that she, her husband, and her children were both in a hospital called a Rush Memorial Hospital. And then this doctor was not like helping her out, this and this, but it was all about like giving her the drugs, much less than helping her. And so he testifies in court. In court, he testifies that, oh yeah, this happened and that happened. So he went to court, but he didn't want to talk to Dateline telling his story. The release was signed, but he still declined. Now, had he told his side of the story to Victoria Corderi, we would have never known the full story. That was because of the multiple amounts of lawsuits. But Pat Burgess settled her lawsuit out of court. It kept her from going to court. So, what I have to say about this, and my perspective about this, I think she was cured. And for that hamburger man asking, well, I want you to go make a hamburger. Where about you so we can test the lab? But medical bills kept piling up. And a lot of times, over $1 million. That's I don't even want to talk about it because I mean it's just I don't know. I don't even want to talk about it because it always be chills. It just makes me. I just don't really want to talk about it. I didn't want to see it to begin with, but I had to do it for you guys because I give you my perspective on it. You've heard the story about a young kid who years ago had surgery for his ear. But what happened next? What happened to this doctor would shock the whole community. Up next, I'm going to tell you the story about Ben Kolb. I have it on my channel. The story about Ben Kolb, who had ear surgery, but what happened next would shock even the doctors. Stay with us. You ever heard of Ben Kolb? If you haven't, this is the story you might want to see. It's a story about a young boy who had surgery. But what happened next would stun even the others. Now, it's an hour-long episode. I'm not going to play it for you. But what I am going to do is give you my perspective on the portion of this. And it's uploaded on my channel. If you would like to watch it, just look up A Lesson from Ben, a Dateline special. This was from 2001. 31, and this is almost a year ago. It's been a few days. I should have done this on my anniversary, but I don't care. 31 comments pulled up like, very difficult to see the sadness from the father. Poor Ben, rest with the angels. My condolences to this family and irreplaceable loss. 2007, after being diagnosed with epidermis Banner Australia Hospital, Phoenix, Arizona, allowed me to be forgotten by the time of memory for surgery. My appendix had burst and spent 10 days ICU. It was terrible It's terrible that a hospital could be so callous with lives at stake. I don't understand why such double handling needs to occur. Like that lady said in the end, it's not even necessary. Such a stupid mistake caused a loss of young life. The poor parents. But kudos to the hospital for being honest and transparent about it. That doesn't happen often. I could tell this was an older story. Looked in to see what would happen and originally aired January 1st, 2022, a whole year since. I can't believe how numbskull physicians and operating staff can be. The hospital directors are ignorant. To the family of Ben, my heart goes out to you and all the other families that have gone through the same or similar loss. A loss that could never happen. God bless. No operation is safe. I don't care how old you are or how healthy you are. I didn't watch the whole episode, but I hope that family's sued. Sad they were so ignorant. Made shoes, really. If I was that kid's father in that hospital, that hospital would be called Ben's Memorial Hospital. Ben's name would be on every unit. Ben's emergency room, Ben's pharmacy, Ben's maternity ward, etc. And they'd be paying out the ass. Well, those comments kept pouring in. And thank you for watching this episode. I really hope that you guys can share it with your other family members. Now to tell you about a story about a murder, a love murder. It's the story about a girl who broke the tradition, and the uncle was under suspicion. After I posted this, which was 5 days after I posted a lesson from Ben, comments kept pouring in. Let's start with the newest first. That uncle was a piece of work, yes, taking advantage of someone being unable to read the language. Shame on Canadian justice system. What a nasty effing religion, and all of made up God no more real as Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny. Okay? Did the police in India contact the... same old story. Now, this one person has the update. To the Lighthouse updating the saying, so depressing. I looked into this case up online. The uncle and the mother successfully fought extradition for almost 20 years. Finally, in 2019, Canada extracted them to India to face charges. Mid-2021, the case actually began. I believe the pair are at their 70s now. I've lived the lighter half of their lives. Free as birds despite conspiracy to murder 25 years old. Justice 2000. Justice delayed is justice denied. I'm Canadian. Our government police failed Jessie at every turn. Failed in her life. Failed in her death. May she rest in peace. And more replies kept jumping in. My perspective on this? Well, I have to agree with the Lighthouse said. He posted the update, and yeah, I'm very happy. Now, you may remember a few seasons ago, I talked about a dog's life. It was a hidden camera investigation about dogs being kennels, not being abused. And God was I right. Those dogs were abused. Hot, they were abused, this and this. Bloody bowels broke out. I couldn't even continue watching it because I knew it. Because I love dogs. My sister-in-law has 2 dogs, which I'm not going to name names, but yeah. Pat Atkinson still runs. She shouldn't be running anywhere. My perspective on this, she shouldn't be running a dog business anymore. She should be in jail. Not freaking, I don't know. You can't be doing her business, either online or somewhere else. It shouldn't be happening. It should never be happening, period. I don't care, and probably no one else cares. Coming up next, the traffic school story that I promised you. You'd have to see it to believe it. Stay with us. Were you ever a bad driver? Did you ever take traffic school? Traffic school is a way to get your license back to become a better driver. But what if you realized sitting in there, you saw someone leaving class, leaving early, paying their way to get out, or falling asleep? What do? Before you rest easy, let's take a look at how it happens. Here's Bob McEwen with a Dateline hidden camera investigation.
Bourbonnais, Illinois, 50 miles south of Chicago. A tractor trailer loaded with almost 50,000 pounds of steel heads for this railroad crossing. At the wheel, this man, John Stokes. Just up the tracks, barreling in from Chicago at more than 70 miles an hour, was the legendary passenger train, the city of New Orleans. What happened next on March 15th, 1999 depends on who's doing the telling. Driver John Stokes says his truck was trapped on the tracks by the crossing barriers. But the engineer says he saw the truck driver trying to beat the train by steering his 18-wheeler around the crossing barriers as they started to come down. Either way, there's no dispute about the tragic result. The train slammed into the truck. 11 passengers were killed. 117 were injured. Truck driver John Stokes walked away. Stokes, whose driving record at the time included 15 moving violations and 9 accidents causing personal injury or property damage, or both. Why was a driver with a record like that still on the road? The answer is simple. John Stokes had a piece of paper like this one. Because according to the law in Illinois, though his driver's license had been suspended, he was allowed to get it back simply by attending something called traffic school and receiving what's known as a completion certificate.
How many people are killed by motor vehicle collisions every year in this country?
What is traffic school? It's where drivers are retrained and then put back on the road ostensibly as safer drivers. Laws vary, but in over half of U.S. states, drivers with too many tickets can attend traffic school to have violations removed from their records. In some states, courts order drivers to traffic school before they get their suspended licenses back. And in many states, people who are not problem drivers can qualify for a discount on their auto insurance if they attend traffic school. But the question is, do these schools really accomplish what they claim? Do they change attitudes, reduce accidents and violations, and make drivers safer? The answer, some say, is no.
Here for the points reduction.
And as you'll soon see on our hidden cameras, how can they work if a student can earn a certificate even while asleep? Like this man who we saw snoozing his way through one class.
Be aware of all school zone signs.
Or worse,
And then we need the $50.
if students can simply pay to get a completion certificate without spending a single minute in class.
Better seatbelts?
We should say that many individual traffic schools do a good job, like this one in upstate New York. Students pay up to $60 for the course.
This is something I've basically devoted my life to. It's something that I truly believe in. Do you ever hear people that say, oh, I drive better when I'm drunk?
Chris Jarman, who heads the Driving School Association of New York and who runs this one, says the traffic schools can work, but only if the courses are taught properly. Jarman says that he's trained thousands of drivers to be safer on the road.
We're trying to provide a quality program to people who really want to learn something.
We sat in on one of Chris Jarman's classes. He began by telling his students exactly what's at stake.
The number one reason why I'm here offering this course is hopefully to reduce crashes and deaths out on the road.
He then imparted safety tips to do that on subjects like braking techniques.
Stomp on your brakes, stay on the brakes, and then steer the wheel to get around the object that you're about to hit. And never
dealing with road rage.
If you use your vehicle in a violent way, that's road rage.
How attitude affects driver behavior.
Attitude controls behavior.
He talked about drunk driving, how and where accidents are most likely to happen. And finally,
your driving is a job that requires all of your focus, all of your attention.
But it wasn't all a lecture. Chris Jarman also asked his students questions and got them involved in a group discussion.
Anybody have an example of someone losing their temper?
People start cursing, they're like, pull over, and they go.
And there was a video, though Jarman used it to supplement the lecture and the discussion.
Let's stop and get your ideas about this before going on.
All right, so how would you define what an attitude is?
And as required by New York state law, Jarman kept his students in class for a full 6 hours.
I want to thank you folks for being here today.
But are all of these schools doing the job Chris Jarman is? We sent Dateline staffers out with hidden cameras to find out.
Hi. How are you? Here for the points reduction?
This traffic school in New York City offers a course provided by the National Traffic Safety Institute. That might sound like a government agency, but the NTSI is a multi-million-dollar private business. Its course approved in numerous states and taken by hundreds of thousands of drivers a year.
The driver's license and a $50 fee.
Remember, in New York, the class is supposed to last at least 6 hours. But when one of our producers arrived for a 1 p.m. class, this traffic school employee told him they'd be done in half that time.
How long is it?
There's only about 3 of you today, so you should be finished before 4 o'clock.
Before 4 o'clock?
The NTSI says its course should be led by an instructor with group discussion, a lecture, and videos.
So what do we learn, basically?
Watch the films and you will learn how to drive.
And what about the teacher?
Are you the instructor as well?
The instructor is coming.
This car is not under control.
But once inside the classroom, there's no instructor in sight, just a tape playing on the VCR.
Special conditions call for special driving techniques and skills.
Like the video we saw at Chris Jarman's school, the one shown here covered such safety topics as defensive driving and the dangers of alcohol. But in this class, an instructor like Jarman apparently won't be showing up. Here, the students seem to be pretty much on their own.
So instructor come in here? This is it. Oh, this is it? So I can read.
We don't know if these other students are good drivers taking the class to get a discount on insurance, or drivers trying to get points taken off their license. Either way, the NTSI workbook promises an eye-opening learning experience. Not, apparently, for this man.
That driver behind or ahead of you.
We watched him sleep for more than 10 minutes. No one tried to wake him. And it doesn't take long for the other student to nod off too.
Assuming neither driver is under the influence of alcohol or...
In fact, he gets so bored, he actually leaves for a while. As for the first student, when he wakes up, he decides to check out the magazine rack at the back of the classroom.
Courtesy should be extended to all.
A staff member finally does appear, but only to change videos.
Okay, let me show you where this goes. This is about 20 minutes.
When the second tape ends, traffic school does too, with no lectures, no questions, and no discussion.
So in place of the other videos and the lecture, I'll just give you a workbook that you can bring home.
Rather than the required 6 hours, or the promised 3, it lasts just over an hour and a half.
An hour and a half?
It sounded wonderful. We could have been here for 7 hours. 5 hours? It's supposed to be a 6-hour course. Race. Yeah.
And all the students, our staffer, and the 2 who fell asleep, get that all-important certificate showing they've successfully completed traffic school, allowing them either to cut 10% from their insurance rates or deduct points from their driving records.
So drive defensively.
Thanks.
2 traffic schools, each with a drastically different approach to driver safety. One with a teacher, the other without. One with students required to participate, the other, well, you get the picture. But both with the power to put dangerous drivers back on the road. Drivers like John Stokes, who was involved in that train crash that killed 11 people and injured 117 last year. Incredibly, despite his long, flawed driving record, Stokes was given his license back. And believe it or not, when he was caught again for speeding, an Illinois court allowed him to attend traffic school yet again. We found him back behind the wheel. still driving.
Remember, nothing lasts forever, and you'll get there.
It's one thing to attend a course with lax standards, but we wondered about something else, something more egregious than cutting class time. What if you could get a traffic school completion certificate without spending a single minute in class? We were about to find out.
Coming up next, what would you do if you paid to get out of traffic school? The conclusion to Bob McEwen's hidden camera investigation. Stay with us. You've heard about traffic school. You've seen hidden cameras in there, sleeping. One was an expert, the other one just videotapes. No lectures, no nothing. But how would you feel if you paid to get out of driver's school? Prepare to be stunned and fascinated as Bob McEwen brings us the conclusion to this story.
It's happened to almost everyone. That instant on a fast-moving highway or at a busy intersection when you find yourself a split second away from disaster. That's when you hope the drivers around you have been well trained in traffic safety and respect the rules of the road. But each year, over 40,000 Americans are killed in auto accidents. And traffic school instructor Chris Jarman says the main reason is driver error.
So if most drivers think that they're above average, from your perspective, what do you think they are? I'd have to say that, there's a large majority that are just way below average.
In many states, the way those problem drivers are retrained is traffic school. Some are better than others. But what if certain traffic schools put those drivers back on the road without teaching them anything at all? In Florida, which along with California and New York is among the leaders in the number of traffic schools, we were told that some schools actually sold certificates without requiring attendance. But when we visited 40 schools in the Miami area, not one would sell us a certificate. In fact, some owners told us it would be illegal if they did so.
Our operation today involves Americana Driving School.
It was a different story in California. We went along as undercover officers visited several Los Angeles area traffic schools, like this one.
Just for my own curiosity, how long would I have to go to driving school if I did do this?
It's an 8-hour class.
8 hours.
And all I do is sit there and tell you what not to do.
By California law, the course offered by this school in LA must be 8 hours long, with safety videos and classroom lectures. But listen to how this instructor describes traffic school to an undercover officer.
I did it once, 17 years ago. Boy, it was the boringest thing I ever been through. Sat through class. I thought it was horrible. So that's what I did. No, I teach it.
Then, without having to attend a single minute of the required 8-hour course, the officer simply pays his money and walks out with a certificate showing he's completed it.
Okay, Benita, I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay.
In all, 5 of the 10 traffic schools visited by the California DMV sold completion certificates without requiring course attendance. In New York, we approached 5 schools, and 4 would not sell us certificates.
During this time, you are not watching the road.
But remember that school in New York City? The one where nap time seemed to be part of the curriculum?
I'm just really busy right now. Is there any way I can do this?
Another Dateline staff member asks if she can avoid attending traffic school altogether, yet still get the certificate showing she'd completed the course.
So there's no way I can just pay?
What?
There's no way I can just pay?
It doesn't take much persuasion.
Okay.
And in a few minutes,
After I pay and you give me the certificate.
for $50, she gets what she wanted, a completion certificate. And if she were a problem driver with points for violations on her record, that certificate would allow her to erase them.
As soon as they get this, they will take off 4 points from your driving. So after I pay.
Our staffer is also told she's now eligible to get a discount on her automobile insurance.
This is what you show your insurance company, the temporary certificate. And this tells them that I did what? That you attended the class.
That completion certificate also includes the signature of someone named John Segretti. Who is John Segretti? This man.
I've spent most of my life at making safer drivers, at researching our program, at making it work and making it have a difference in people's lives.
Mr. Segretti is president of the National Traffic Safety Institute, the NTSI, one of the leading providers of traffic school courses in the U.S.
Our bottom line in our program is to make a positive impact on people's driving behavior.
His company doesn't operate that school in New York, but they did approve it to teach the NTSI course. And Segretti says their involvement doesn't end there.
We train and monitor and give in-service training and evaluate each instructor involved in the course.
Right. When you say monitored, how closely and how often?
That would be sporadically based on reports or evaluations that we may see on them.
Segretti says the effectiveness of his course comes from a technique called facilitation.
Facilitation meaning what?
Meaning that we try to teach the class in a circle, in a group setting, where our instructor tries to have them interact with each other.
So you're talking about engaging the students somehow in order to change their attitude.
Absolutely.
Getting their attention.
The only way.
Making them participate.
They have to participate. We have a philosophy that we must involve the student in the class for them to come away with a benefit.
Okay, let me show you one last school.
But as you've already seen on our hidden cameras, the only facilitation in this class was when someone changed the videotape. And as for student involvement...
Each student receives a workbook.
Right. And what do they do with that book?
They work with it during the 6 hours, and it gives them exercises and sample questions. You don't go to sleep in the back of the room.
Really? Apparently no one told that to the students our camera caught snoozing at this NTSI course in New York City.
As you can see, she could not avoid hitting the rear of the stopped vehicle.
And the workbook that NTSI President Segretti says is supposed to be used during the 6-hour course?
So in place of the other videos and the lecture, I'll just give you a workbook that you can bring home. Thank you.
As you saw, it was handed out as homework at the end of the class. A class with no lecture, no group discussion, essentially no interaction with the students whatsoever.
That's it?
That's it.
And this class lasted only about an hour and a half.
Let's take a look at your curriculum.
Okay.
We showed our hidden camera tape to the NTSI president.
Granted, this may be an agency that we have, and certainly I would look into that, but I can't comment further than that. I don't know what happened there.
Well, what happened, Mr. Segretti, was pretty clear. How do you explain that?
I don't have an explanation for you today other than to say that we monitor these things, we look into them, as well as the Department of Motor Vehicles. I know that's not something that we condone or goes on all over the country. That I know. We may have a bad apple here. In the middle of New York City, there are a few.
And perhaps some of those bad apples don't fall too far from the tree.
Okay, and how do
Just look at the driving records of the people who run this school. They have a history of suspended and revoked driver's licenses themselves. Remember this woman? Her license was suspended because she didn't show up to court for a traffic violation.
Okay.
And the man who agreed to take $50 to hand over a completion certificate? He also once had his license suspended, then revoked. We caught up with him outside on the street.
Am I being paid for something?
That's what that camera does. At first, when we told him we'd bought a certificate without having to attend traffic school, he expressed disbelief.
You say you don't know about this.
I don't know about this.
Would you mind looking at this for me? This is a videotape. Is that not you? I'm pretty sure that's you.
Then we showed him the tape from our hidden camera.
Yes.
That is you, is it not?
Yep.
Well, you've just told our associate producer that she can simply pay the money
No,
and get her certificate.
I'm not gonna see that thing, man.
We asked him to take another look.
Do you not think that by selling these certificates, rather than requiring people to sit through the 6 hours of instruction, you're potentially letting dangerous drivers back out on the road?
Right, that's it.
If you take this on a whole, this has been a very good program, okay? Not every instructor out there is a bad apple. Not every delivery agency is a bad apple.
Ken Ringley, the Deputy Commissioner of New York's Department of Motor Vehicles, admits he doesn't know how many bad apples are out there. He says his agency simply has not had the resources to find out.
Is there anyone assigned to going out into the field on a consistent basis and dropping in to the people who give these traffic courses and seeing how they're doing?
On a consistent basis, no.
But as we showed you in California, that state's Department of Motor Vehicles has done just that. And this is the result.
You have the right to remain silent.
Traffic school employees caught selling completion certificates, taken away in handcuffs.
Hey, watch your head.
The question is, will the DMVs in other states now get just as tough? The New York Department of Motor Vehicles says it is investigating this school for possible violations of the law, including fraud. New York has recently enacted new legislation it hopes will clean up the traffic school business.
If you come back a year from now, I certainly hope that it's going to be much more difficult for you to get a certificate like you did.
This past summer, Illinois enacted a new law making it tougher for bad drivers to take traffic school classes and stay on the road. And the New York State Department of Motor Vehicles says an aggressive traffic school monitoring campaign is now in place here. By the way, that traffic school we visited in New York City is no longer in business.
Now, here's my retrospective about this. If I was there, I saw someone sleeping, I'd wake them up, say, hey, this is not a place to sleep. You're here to learn how to drive. You're here to get your license back. Just listen. And if it was an hour and a half, I stay for that 6 hours. We're watching those videos, working on my work. I would not be sitting in there and ask for someone to pay. What I would do, sneak in, get that money out and say, hey, don't you dare. Don't you dare. You better not pay her. Don't you give her that $50. You ain't leaving. If I saw someone doing that, rip that money out of their hands, put it in my pocket and say, I just took your money. You ain't doing nothing. Get your ass back in there and learn. And as for that person, snap a picture of them, bam. Send it to the state, and they would investigate it. It never ends. So if you want to learn how to get back on the road, traffic school is your best bet. That's why taking the test is required by law to get that license. You can't pay to get licenses. You can't just skip class. Like I talked about, it's truancy. If you're ordered to go to traffic school, you're ordered to go to traffic school. There ain't no excuse. And if you do pay to get out, that's bribery. And you could be going to jail. You and the instructors could be going to jail. Period. And I'm glad laws have been toughened out to make sure this doesn't happen again. Okay, so that's my retrospective. Coming up on Saturday, a story about a person who took on the mob. Wait till you hear what happened. That's on Saturday. That's all for this edition of Give Me a Break Friday going to Saturday. We'll see you again for Give Me a Break Saturday night. I hope you've had a great day. For all of us here at YouTube and to Give Me a Break. Your body, your choice. Have a good night.